stress you or intimidate you or to bamboozle you. As a matter of fact, your project is not expected to be perfect. In fact, I tell them to the extent that even MSc projects, even PhD projects are usually not perfect. The simple idea is that is for you to demonstrate that as a student, you can identify and investigate a problem systematically, collect data, analyze those data, and then draw meaningful conclusion or recommendation from the findings of your analysis. And that is all. No project student, no project supervisor is expecting your work to be, 100% perfect. So we'll start by looking at why project writing is required. The first is to transform students from knowledge consumers to knowledge producers. Like I said earlier, you've been here for some years, and all what you've been doing so far is lecturer come to class, teach you from what he knows or from what she knows, and then you go to library, read textbook that is being written by that was being written by someone else, or go to Google. All these are what is being done by someone else. So at what point in time do you have to produce knowledge yourself? That is what project writing is about. By writing projects, you are to identify a problem. Write on that problem, make findings, and then come up with what? With a knowledge, with a research output, which means that, in the next 2-3 years, someone will say, this project was done by so and so, and this is what you find out. In that case, you've contributed to what? To knowledge. Second is to train students in scientific investigation. By the time you graduate, either you are in business admin, insurance, finance, accounting, you will be employed, or even if you are self-employed, at some point in time, you will have some issue, probably in your own personal business or an issue in your working place that will require you to investigate that problem. Because you've written projects during your undergraduate days, you already trained to systematically investigate and find solution to certain problem. Thirdly is that it helps students to apply theory to real life problems. Whatever you're writing on in your project is what is actually a real life problem. For instance, you identify that, especially those in business admin, you identify that, we have what we call a digital marketing, strategies nowadays. But does it really work? Are you saying that if you applied all these digital marketing strategies, probably the use of online advertisements, or influencer, marketing, are you saying that it will actually add real value? Will customers buy your product more? You're trying to what? Yeah, there's a theory that marketing strategies, these are marketing strategies would increase your growth, your sales. But you might want to test it in real life. Does it really apply? Also prepare students for professional practice. Like I said earlier, by the time you are employed or you have your own personal business, you would want to solve some problem you are facing either in your own personal work or for your employers. You've learned how to investigate a problem, so you'll be able to apply this in your professional practice. And lastly, it ensures students can conduct independent research. While writing projects, even though you have supervisors, it's just the minimum supervision. Of course, you have to do your work. The supervisors guide you, supervise you, but then you are still doing your work independently. So by then, you already learn how to work independently, how to identify the problem, try and solve the problem. So it means that by the time you leave school and you are in the labor market, you already know how to work, how to conduct independent research. Because after all, while doing your project in school, you just had minimal, supervision. As a matter of fact, I can tell you that some students will tell you that all they have to do is write their projects, and supervisor will just make correction and that's all. So in fact, it's just like you're writing your project independently. Your writer just meant to make correction and tell you what next to do. So this why project writing is required. We also look at the skills learned from projects. I'll be fast here so that we can go to the main how to actually write projects. Project writing develop your skill in problem solving. First thing to do when writing projects is what? Yeah, identify a problem. Identify the problem. Try to understand the cause of that problem. Get relevant information and data. When I say information and data, it might be use of a questionnaire, secondary data. We will get there when we are in chapter 3 actually. But you have to watch. You have to gather data, gather relevant information, and then analyze this information for you to work to make findings and then recommend the best course of action. You also learn research skills while writing projects. You would have to make findings, find some related topic to what you're writing on. You download so many journals on your subject matter. You try to this is regarding research skills, and with this you'll be able to realize, oh, this is what has been done so far.
I'm even shocked.
In that area.
I'm even shocked that you like people following that.
Okay, so with that, you will have what? You have been asked to what to gather, what people have done so far in that area. So this is a way of a research skill. And then after getting what people have done so far in that area, you need to identify what has not been done, and then do that thing that has not been done. That's you getting a research skills. The next one is analytical skills. You learn not just to gather data, you also learn to analyze that data while writing projects. And that's why I normally tell my students, even if you are going to contract your chapter 4, the analysis part of your work, yes, it is not actually a bad thing to do that. You can contract that out. But then you should make sure that the person puts you through, understand what the person did, so that you can actually be able to repeat, or learn how to do the analysis. So in analytical skill, after getting your data, learn how to analyze it, how to make inference based on the findings, and then how to, based on your findings, make recommendation and decision for policymakers. Lastly, is that you learn communication and presentation skill. Project writing, is actually very demanding in both writing skill and presentation skill. It is not the usual you want to write novel or you want to write story. No, it's not that straightforward. There's a standard format for writing projects that you have to learn. So in this, your written communication skill increased. Even I feel like presentation skill, because at times you have to defend your projects with your supervisors. You learn how to present that properly. And most departments actually also require you to defend your project. So you have to present whatever you have done, defend it properly, and with this, your presentation skill also increase. And this can be very, very useful for you by the time you get to the industry. You might have to, defend a quotation, or but your employer can say, oh, we are trying to get a contract, so you don't want to present it on behalf of the company. But since you've done that in projects, it should not be difficult for you. All you have to do is do some adaptation. So we now move on to how to select a project topic. Now, I said it earlier that most of you or some of you might have had a topic already, but I'll just rush through this. If you've not had a topic before, this should be very, very useful for you. So the first thing to do when trying to select topic is to identify an area of interest in your field. You've been studying business for the past 4 years. I'm sure that while some of your lecturers were teaching you you might have developed an interest in one particular area. It might be marketing, it might be consumer behavior, it might be supply chain. You will, oh, this area is very interesting. So the main essence of you picking an area of interest is that you are going to have to read a lot about, about that particular, area for your project. So if you pick an area that does not interest you, you find it boring in reading journal, textbook, and past studies about it. If it's not interesting for you, it will become stressful and boring. You also have to discuss it during defense. So it means that by the time you are defending it, if you are not passionate about it, if you are not interested in that topic, it will be quite difficult. And let me sound a note of, like a warning. I normally tell my students as well, you don't pick a project topic because your friend also picked that topic. You might end up frustrating yourself because your friend might have interest in that topic and you don't. But because it's your friend, you want to work on the same area. Probably you have different supervisors, and then let's pick the same area and work on it. You might get frustrated because you don't have interest in that topic. That topic is not an area that interests you at all. You find it boring. So why pick it? So after identifying an area of interest in your field, like I said, consumer behavior, it might be marketing, it might be other area in your field. Next thing is to identify a problem or issue in the identified area of interest. You've picked consumer behavior, for instance. You then ask yourself, what is the problem? What is an issue in this area of, in this consumer behavior? Or what is an issue in what? In marketing that I find interesting? And it has to be like a real life issue. What you see that, oh, it's actually, actually constitute a problem. For instance, you might think, oh, I have interest in marketing, but then I realize that there is this new development of digital marketing strategies, the use of email, sending email to people, having what we call online advertisements. And then you ask yourself, does this really work? Probably you've been discussing with a friend that is already working. And then she shared with you, or he shared with you that, oh, we've been doing a lot of marketing. We paid the influencer to market our product for us. We've even done online adverts. But still, the growth, the sales have not really improved. So that's a problem that you've identified in the marketing that you decided to pick. So you identify that problem. It has to be a real life problem that you've identified. So you are basically asking yourself, I picked marketing as an area of interest. What is it that is not working in that area? What is not working? Or what challenges exist in that area that I picked? Or okay, it's actually working, but then you still need improvements. So this can be a problem or issue that you identify in your area of interest. Next is to now review previous study on the identified problem or issue. Now you've identified that problem. Let's say the problem identified now is what? The fact that even though companies are doing a lot of digital marketing strategies, then the impact of the impact on their sales growth is not that significant. They spend a lot of money in doing this marketing strategy, but the impact on the sales they are making is not that much. So that's the problem you identified. So what you have to do is what? Look at what people have done so far on it. Review previous studies and go to all this research machine, Google Scholar, even normal Google. Just type, uh, uh, let's say, impact of digital marketing strategies, or how does digital marketing strategies affect sales. Just type your keyword there. It bring out what people have done so far in that area. Importance of this. The importance of this is that you'll be able to know what has been done so far in that area. You might think something has not been done, but by the time you see what people have done in that area, and I advise that you try to get as much work as possible. There's no limit to how many previous work you're going to see. 50, 60 is all fine. Just try and get as much as possible work on that particular subject matter that you want to work on. And I said the fact is you'll be able to know what people have done so far in that area so that you not end up repeating the same thing that has been done in that area. The idea of you doing the research is to add to knowledge, contribute to knowledge. Yes, there's a knowledge before. There's an existing knowledge on the particular subject matter area before. That's fine. But what you want to do is what? Add to that existing knowledge. So it then means that you cannot do exactly what someone has done before. You are not adding any knowledge. You are just repeating, what someone has done before. So by the time you review previous study, you'll be able to see what has been done so far in that area. You also be able to know what methodology, how was those previous work conducted? And now I'm talking about methodology. What method of data collection was used? Was it primary data, secondary data? You also ask yourself, what was the findings? What did they find out? So in doing this, you'll be able to establish what has been done so far. And then the next is to now what? Identify research gap. Now you've seen what people have done so far in that area. You've seen, from many studies that you must have, checked and, and read about. The next thing is to identify what has been done in that area. And that's exactly what you want to do. Like I said earlier, you should not repeat exactly what has been done. That is you just copying someone else's work. What you try to do is what? Add to knowledge, see what has been done, and then what? Work on it. So it is that research gap, what has been done in that area that you want to work on. In doing this, you have to identify, what the previous study has not covered. It might be just location gap. It might be, the work you've been seeing so far was conducted in Kenya, Rwanda, US, and then you realize that that kind of work has not been done in Nigeria. So that's a research gap, location gap. So if you do that same exact work that has been done in the other area, apply it to Nigeria settings. That's you contribute to knowledge. That means you'll be able to contribute to knowledge in the Nigeria sector. It might be methodological gap, the method used by those previous studies. You've seen what has been done, what the method they use by those previous studies. So what you have to do is I want to do it differently. Probably the previous study you've seen so far, make use of questionnaire, the share questionnaire survey. And then you think that I think I can make this better by using interview. That's a research gap. You've done something different from what has been done so far. Or you say, no, I don't want to use the interview. Let me try and see if I use secondary data to bring out, a different outcome. So that's what we call methodological gap. It might be variables gap. The topic I made mention of before that the of digital marketing strategies, how does it impact sales of a company, of a firm? And then you realize that what they've been talking about is all about how the social media advertisements, and then you feel like there are some different, there are some other different digital marketing strategies that these people have not talked about, have not researched about. Let me work on those ones. So you pick a different variables, and that's also a research gap. Or lastly, what we call a time gap, time frame. Let me put it that way. Those previous studies were done as far back as 10 years time, 10 years, 15 years. You then realize that things might have changed. The situation that was in place then might be different than what we have presently. Let me conduct that same research now and let me see the outcome of the research. So that's time gap. So these are the different gap you can identify from the previous study. And then this will then enable you to conclude on what exactly you want to work about. It is that gap that you are trying to fill. You are trying to add to knowledge by filling that gap. Last step is to frame a clear and researchable topic. You've seen what has not been done so far in that area. So then what? Frame a topic. A clear and researchable topic. It has to be very clear so that whenever your supervisor sees that topic, he knows exactly what you want to do. It should not be ambiguous that, okay, this topic, now what do you want to do about it? It's very clear and it should be researchable. It should also be relevant and data accessible. And this is a very, a common problem that students often face in writing projects. sometimes they will see a very fine area that they want to work on. They've done chapter 1, very interesting. Chapter 2, chapter 3. But then they realize that, oh, by the time they get to chapter 3, they realize that what? They couldn't find data. They couldn't find data. So it's all of no use then. So by the time you are what? You are selecting your topic, you must be sure that what? You can have what? Access to data that will be used to what? To conduct that study. And lastly, uh, a, a project topic should be interesting to the students. I think I mentioned that earlier. So that is a brief way of selecting a topic in in for projects. So we then move on to general formats of a project. General format of a project. Like I said earlier, I've seen some of my students. In fact, some some of them do write up, they write novel, and then stories and long epistles for that matter. They are very good in writing. But let me tell you that project writing is a different thing entirely. Project writing, it follows a specific academic format that you must follow. You just have to follow that format. You cannot just be writing. You have to follow that format. And now, when I say the format, there are different, there might be different formats, for different supervisors. That's why when this format I'm giving you, it is not cast on stone. That is, if a supervisor says this is what, he or she wants, you just have to adapt to what he or she wants. As a matter of fact, different schools have different formats. I've seen a particular project before from one school in this same Southwest. And then I saw that it consists of chapter 1 to chapter 6. That's the format for what? For that school. But as far as University of Lagos is concerned, and Faculty of Management is concerned, across, all departments, projects usually have what? 5 chapters. And like I said earlier, even within these 5 chapters, your supervisor might say, this is what I want. You have to follow suit. The general format of a project, as far as, this faculty is concerned, is what? 5 chapters. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chapter 1 is the introduction part of your work. And under this chapter, you are telling us what do you want to do. It's as straightforward as possible. This chapter basically tells us what you want to study and why you want to study it. Even though the chapter has different subsections, but the main idea of the chapter is what? You are telling us that's the leader of your work, your supervisor, your fellow, coursemate, that this is what I want to do. So by the time someone reads the whole lecture, chapter 1, it should be clear enough on what you want to do and why you want to study, that particular research area. Chapter 2 is what we call literature review. Literature review. So what this chapter 2 is, is telling you have the opportunity of telling us that, oh, this is what I already know about this topic. You must have done, several review, what people have done, in that area, what have not been done, different concepts, different theories. So you are basically telling us what is it that I already know about this topic. And then it also simply tells us what is then the gap. I've seen what people have done so far in that area. So, but this is what have not been done. And this is what I want to do. That basically what chapter 2 is telling us. Chapter 3 is the methodology part of the work. We call it research methodology. And it's telling us how was my study carried out? How was my study conducted? They're telling your supervisors, your reader, well, this is what I am going to do. This is what I did. This is how I got my daughter. This is how I analyze my work. So basically, you're telling us the whole idea of how you carried out that work. Chapter 4 is data analysis. You've obtained your data, either through questionnaire, or whatever way you want to collect your data. Chapter 4 is now telling us, now I've analyzed this data. Now I've analyzed this data. What is it that I found out? So it's telling us what data revealed, and what the results mean. Last chapter is chapter 5, which is summary, conclusion, and conclusion of study. Summary, conclusion, and recommendation. You are telling us, oh, I've done this whole work from chapter 1 to chapter 4. And now I'm summarizing this in what? In chapter 5. After summarizing this, based on the findings of my study, I'm making this conclusion. I feel like what I'm giving recommendation, what should be done, what should be put in place, based on what I find out from the study. So we try to look at them chapter by chapter. We start with chapter 1, which is what I call the introduction part. And I said, you are simply telling us what your study is about and why, do you want to carry out that study. So the usual subsection under this topic are as follows. So when I say the usual subsection, I'm telling you that at times, the supervisor might have, one or two different addition or, for his or her own format. But basically, all this should be, contained in the chapter 1, which is introduction. The first is what we call background to the study. This section provides the context of the study. What is the study about? It explains the environment, the situation, the trend that led to the research. Why are you conducting that research? The example I normally give my students is you were walking, along a road with your friend, and then you saw, two people, a man and a woman. Well, the woman sitting down on the man's lap, and then you told your friend, look at them, look at the nonsense they are doing. Yeah, your friend will look at you. Oh, so what's it? What is that? What's your business? What's my business with this? But if you now start explaining, you see that man, hmm? That man is married. I know his wife. Hmm? That woman that you are seeing to, I know her husband. So what you try to do there is what? Oh, you you basically tell your friend, look at it if you are not serious. But then he doesn't know anything, or she doesn't know anything. But by the time you provide the context, oh, this is what is happening. The man is married. Then he then what? He then understand why you are concerned about them, about finding them in that situation. Hmm? So I'm saying it explains the context of the study. Why, what is the situation that led to the study? Why are you carrying out that research? So usually it helps the reader to understand the general topic area, how the issue developed, why the topic is important. So it's like you are basically telling a story. This has happened. This is happening. And then this happened. This happened. This happened. So I want to what? I want to study this. Usually you have to start from what? From a from a broad area. Using our sample topic, which I say is the impact of digital marketing strategies on sales performance of company. The impact of digital marketing strategies on sales performance of firms. So looking at that topic, you have to start from the general, from the broad area. You can start by talking about what? About marketing. And marketing, so what type of marketing and so on. Break it down to what? Digital marketing strategies, what are those marketing strategies and so on. And then what? How does it affect what? Sales performance. You are coming from what? From a broad area of what? Marketing. Come down to what? To a narrow area of what? Digital marketing strategies, how it affects what? The sales performance of what? Of firm. So you are to include the trend and development, the current challenges. Why is it? Why is that? Topic area a challenge that you want to work that makes you want to work on the research. You narrow it down to maybe a specific or industry, and that's why whenever you want to conduct a research, it doesn't have to be too broad. Just pick a specific area. For instance, let's rephrase this out by saying impact of digital marketing strategies on sales performance of retail firms, in Nigeria. You can see that the word firm is very broad. But now by the time you bring it out to what? Retail firms. You are saying, oh, this study is about what? Retailers. Hmm? So once again, I'm saying for you to write your balance to the study, you start with a what? With a general broad discussion on the subject area, which I said is marketing in this area. Narrow it down to, digital marketing strategies. Narrow it down to what? To, to the particular organization, which we said is what? Maybe a retail firm or another firm you want to use. And then identify what? The specific issue that is being studied. So usually, it shouldn't be, well, between 2 to 3 pages. By the time it's getting 4, 5, you're already making it too voluminous. It shouldn't be too much, but then you have to hit the nail on the head by telling us, oh, this is where I'm coming from, this is the body area, this is the narrow area, this is the relationship between what I'm studying and the other. You have to link your variables. Our variable in this topic, for instance, is what? Digital marketing strategies and what? And sales performance. You have to link both of them together. And then what? Narrow it down to what? To the specific what? Firm. In this case, retailers. So once you do that, you'll be able to tell your readers, oh, this is where I'm coming from. This is what has happened. This is the challenges. And this is where I'm finding out this study. And then set of problem, which is the next one. Here you are telling us, what is the problem? Usually, this is the art of the study. This is the main reason, and you should be able to tell us what is that problem that you identified, and then why is that problem important? What is the effect of that? What is if that problem is not solved, is not resolved? What will be the implication? What will be the consequences of the problem not resolved? So here you are, and usually it shouldn't be so lengthy. You have to be very well. You have to be very, straight to the point. Tell us what the problem is. Tell us why the problem, tell us why it is a problem. Tell us, the impact of that problem if not resolved, if not solved or fully solved. So ideally, 1+ page, maybe 1, 2 pages. But by the time it's getting, 3, 4, 5, you're already putting things that should not be there. You should be very straight to the point, so that your reader, the advisor will know exactly what the problem you've identified, why it is a problem, and why, that problem should be solved. The next is the aim and objective of the study. After identifying the problem, the next thing is to what? Tell us exactly what you want to achieve. Your aim. Aim is what? Aim is the broad purpose of your research. So, for instance, you might say in this topic, for instance, your aim might be the aim of the study is to examine the impact of digital marketing strategies on sales performance of retail firms in Nigeria. That will be your aim. So what the broad area that we are trying to work is what? To examine the impact of digital marketing strategies in the sales performance of retail firms in Nigeria. And that's your aim. But under that aim, you now have what? Have specific objectives. For you to be able to achieve that aim, you then have what? Some other objectives that you have to achieve so that you can be able to to achieve the aim. Usually, objective usually starts with to examine, to determine, and so on. So it's believed that at the end of the day, by the time you are able to achieve the objective, you will have been able to achieve your aim as well. For instance, we said the general aim is to examine the impact of digital marketing strategies. You might then say, okay, one of the objectives is what? To assess the impact of email marketing. After all, digital marketing strategies can be broken down into different variables. It might be email marketing, social media advertising, influencer marketing. So you then have 3 objectives. First objective, to assess the impact of email marketing on sales performance of retail firms. Second, to evaluate the impact of social media ads on sales firm. Third, to examine the impact of influencer marketing. So with this, by the time you are able to achieve this 3 objective, it means what? You'll be able to achieve what? Your aim, which is to examine the impact of digital marketing strategies on the sales firm of retail firm in Nigeria. So I usually tell my students, this is an undergraduate work. By the time you're having, more than 5, 6, 7 objectives, you are already overstressing yourself. 3, 4 objectives is enough. 3, 4, 5, that's okay. By the time you're adding 7, that is too much. Just what? Be very specific on those objectives you want to achieve. The next is research question and hypothesis. These are usually framed in line with the objective of your study. So it's just for you to what? To convert your objective to what? To question. In our example now, I said one of the first objective is to what? Is to assess the impact of email marketing on sales performance of retail firm. It might then be what? What is the impact of email marketing on sales performance of firms? And so what's done there? The objective is what? To assess the impact of email marketing on sales performance of retail firms. That's the objective. All you have to do is what? Change to what? To question. What is the impact of email marketing on sales performance of firms? So you change all these three objectives what? To question. That is, pretty easy to do. And then your hypothesis as well. You just convert it to what? Convert your objective to hypothesis. By just saying, and usually hypotheses are usually in null or alternate hypothesis. Null means the negative part, usually the null. Here you state it as what? In negative form. For instance, you can say email marketing does not significantly impact sales performance of retail firms. You can say what's done there. What's done is to what? Is to take your independent variable. Oh, I think I need to talk about the variables as well. And say what? It doesn't what significantly impact your dependent variable. So let me quickly talk on these variables, dependent and independent variables. In every research, you are going to have different variables. You can have what we call dependent, independent. At times, some research also, have what we call moderating variables, mediating variables, and so on. But let me just, stick to, the dependent and dependent variable here. The word dependent means that, something is depending on something, right? It means something else can impact the variable. That's why we call what? Dependent variable. In our topic, for instance, we are saying impact of digital marketing strategies on sales performance. Question is, which one is affecting which one? Impact of digital marketing strategies on sales performance. So it's pretty clear that what? Digital marketing strategies is impacting sales performance. Digital marketing strategies is what? Is affecting sales performance. So in this case, our dependent variable is what? Is sales performance. Because it's been affected, it's been impacted by what? By another variable called independent variable. That means in our sample topic here, our independent variable is digital marketing strategies, while dependent variable is sales performance. So that brings me back to what I was trying to explain earlier, hypothesis. So in hypothesis, all you have to do is what? State, and nowadays, you don't have to say the alternate hypothesis anymore. Just state the null hypothesis alone. In our case, in our instance here, you just say what? Email marketing does not significantly impact sales performance of retail firms. So you are saying, you are tentatively providing what? A statement that what? Email marketing does not affect sales performance. Which at the end of the day, by the time you conclude your work, you must have provided answer to what? To that hypothesis. And let me also inform you that at the end of your work, at the end of the project, all this your aim, objective, research question, and place must have been what? Must have been fulfilled. You should be able to what? To achieve your objective. You must be able to what? To answer your research question and test your hypothesis at the end of your research. That's at the completion of the research. The next topic here is the significance of the study. So here you are telling us, oh, I'm carrying out this study. Who are those that will benefit from this study? Who are those that this study is useful for? Who and who will benefit? And how are they going to benefit from the study? So possible, beneficiary of every study, we always include the researchers. The idea is that by the time a researcher wants to carry out, research, he must have, like I said earlier, you must have done some empirical review, what have you done so far in that area. So it means your work, you usually be what be useful to what to researchers. It's also useful, depending on what you are working on anyway. Your work will also be useful to policymakers, employees, managers. In this our sample topic, your work will be useful to what? To the firms themselves, to retail firms themselves, because by the time you help to achieve this objective, they'll be able to know which of these, digital marketing strategies, which of them is more impactful, which of them should they invest more. You know, by the end of your research, under this, you will have been able to say, oh, email marketing has more impact than maybe social media advertising. Or maybe influencer marketing is more, has more impact than email marketing. So you will be able to find, this answers, and if you then benefit them, that means usually you should focus more on the one that is more impactful. So we are saying your work will be beneficial to what? To the retail firm themselves. So usually beneficiary of study usually include organization managers, employees, policymaker, researchers, and students. So it is not just for you to what to mention these people that will benefit. You also have to what state how we're going to benefit them. The next is scope and delimitation of study. Scope and delimitation of study. So here you are telling us what does my what area, what does the study cover? It might be in location. If, for instance, the study we are trying to conduct is what is, for instance, let's say this is our topic, and I say in Nigeria, retail firms in Nigeria. Okay. That means your study location is what is Nigeria. So you should also tell us by saying the study will be limited to what to retail firms in Nigeria. Sometimes scope can also what the time frame. Perhaps when you want to carry on your study, you want to use data from, let's say, 2012 to 2024. You need to tell us this study uh, this study will cover from 2012 to 2024. You need to tell us so that by the time you are reading your study, you know, oh, this is what this area is what is trying to cover. So scope, define what the study covers, location, variable, and time frame. So we also look at the limitation of studies simply what explain a boundary set by the researchers. What are those boundaries? You've told us that, oh, this is the scope, this is what I'm covering. The next thing is, what are those boundaries that I'm setting for myself as far as this research is concerned? It might be that you said you want to cover your topic is on retail firms in Nigeria. But then we know there are many retail firms in Nigeria. But then you want to study what? Probably just 5 or 6 of them. So that's limitation. Tell us there that what this study delimited to what? To just 5 firms operating in, you know. So it's very clear so that by the time we are making inference on your study, you'll be able to say, oh, this is what and what this area covers. The last one is what we call definition of terms. Here you have to define, you have to tell us the meaning of some terms as used in your study. The meaning of some terms as used in your study. The usual example I usually give my students is in insurance, for instance, we have a term called average in insurance. So if the word average appears in a project in insurance, it means what we call a under insurance. That's what we mean by average in insurance. Under insurance. When you are supposed to insure your goods for, let's say, 50 million and then you insure it for 40 million, that's under insurance. But we know that average means different thing for someone else. If I ask you people, for instance, what does average mean? You tell me average means when you add something together, we then divide by what? By total number of that thing. That's average. So there are some terms that you must have used in your own research as well. I need to tell us the meaning of its usage in your research. For instance, in this our sample topic, you might need to tell us what marketing means, what digital marketing means. And then you start talking about, in your objective as well, you talk about email marketing. Tell us what email marketing means. Tell us what sales performance means as used in your study. Tell us what social media advertising means. So what we are doing here is, you know, clear, identifying, defining exactly what the way you use that particular variable in your study. And I usually say terms are usually those, those variables that appears either in your topic or in your objective. So by the time you are doing the definition of term, you have to look at your topic. What are those terms? What are those terms that I think I need to explain to someone in my topic or in my research objective? You see that under in this our sample topic, you need to tell us about digital marketing, tell us about marketing itself, tell us about sales performance, tell us about what retail firms. All these are things you need to talk about in your definition of terms. And then you also go on to what to your objective. Under the objective, I made mention of impact of email marketing. Tell us about email marketing. I also made mention of social media advertising. Tell us about it. So these are what you should define in your term. Usually very short, one, 2 to 3 lines, just a statement. Marketing means so. You don't have to cite it there. So that's that on the chapter 1. So by the time you conclude chapter 1, your reader should be able to know this is exactly what this work is about. And this is why this work is being carried out. This is the problem, being identified by this study. And these are, the people that will benefit from this study.